I've got two B-series differentials here. Side by side, they essentially look exactly the same, but some key differences to note that may help in identifying differences for you. First thing is going to be the ID marks that run along the course of the ring gear. So this particular differential here has two notches in the ring gear. So that's going to tell me it either came out of a B18B or a B16. Now, what you're going to have to do to identify the difference between those is actually count the teeth. So on the LS motors, the B18s, those ring gears are going to have 64 teeth with the two ID marks. On B16s, when you count the teeth, those are going to have 66 teeth with two ID marks. Now on this one, if you look on the ring gear and along the outer perimeter here, we see one notch. So that single notch is going to tell you that it came out of a B18C. It's a GSR, ITR, differential or ring gear. And then this will also have 66 teeth. So the first thing you're going to want to do to potentially save you some time is check for this ID mark. And, if you have two, go ahead and count the teeth just to confirm if it's an LS or a B16. But if you have one, you're good to go for a GSR. Just a quick note on these two. You can measure the inside part of the ring gear, the innermost ring. To get the most accurate measurement though, you're going to want to disassemble everything and use some calipers. Now on the B18B, your measurement for the inner part of that ring gear should be 109.8 as well as the B16. So it's going to be important that you still count the teeth on that regardless. But the inner diameter for the ring gear on the B18s is 116.8. So if you want to be really super extra sure, or you're rebuilding your diff and you have it all taken apart anyhow, you can go ahead and get some measurements. It never hurts to be sure. Kind of moving down the line a little bit here. I have two different counter shafts. And I wanted to show you the corresponding ID marks that are on the counter shaft final drive that go along with the differential and the ring gear. So on the final drive that came out of the GSR unit, we're going to see 3 ID marks on this. I don't know if we're going to see, we got 3 ID marks on this. That's going to be indicative of B16 or B18. So the B16 and the B18 both had 3 ID marks on the counter shaft. And the other thing to note is they had 15 teeth on the counter shaft too, on the final drive gear. They both had 15 teeth. Now on the counter shaft off of the LS, so we can get this in the light here, the counter shaft off the LS is just going to have 2 ID marks on it here. So that kind of, again, reinforces, I already knew this came out of an LS, but that just further reinforces that this one was in fact just a B18B manual transmission, whereas the other transmission and the corresponding parts that came out of it were out of a B18 GSR. I just wanted to add a quick note at the end really quick, just because I know it could be confusing, especially when you're talking about different differentials having the same teeth or different counter shafts having the same teeth. The B16 and the B18B and the B18C are all going to have 15 tooth final drive gears on the counter shaft. But what's going to be important on those is the corresponding ring gear. So if you are replacing these, you want to ideally replace them as a set if you can. But if you're paying attention and just being careful, you can replace them individually. But the differences between these is like that the angle or the pitch on the gears themselves, and that's going to be what contributes to your gear ratios. It's just very easy to make the mistakes, so proceed with caution if you're not 100% sure. Synchrotech has great information out there about all of this stuff. That's been very handy for me. I'll put some links that were useful for me down in the bottom, and hopefully this has been helpful for some of you folks out there.